Stuart Biddlecomb, the cinematographer, Handmaid's Tale, set in a dystopian future, a woman is forced to live as a concubine under fundamentalist theocratic dictatorship. Stuart, thank you so much for doing this. You joined Handmaid's Tale in season 3, and
Yes.
it's the show known for its acclaimed and I think unique cinematography. I guess how did you, want to uphold that style while also making it your own?
Yeah, it's sorry, dog.
That's great. I love the dog. Yeah.
Oh, yes, Jackson. Yeah, hello. Yeah, I mean the show had an extraordinary look. Colin and Reed from day one, they made an incredible show, and kind of for me to change that, I think is wrong. It has got a look. It has got a very strong look. It's got it's. I'm going to put my dog down. So it's got a very strong look from day one, and I think for me to kind of change that, I think would be the wrong move. It is a look which defines the show. It has it's almost a character in itself, and for me to come along and bulldoze that is wrong. And so I think what I have done, particularly in kind of seasons 3 and probably more in seasons 4, is probably more of an evolution as opposed to a revolution. It's still very much in the Handmaid's world, and hopefully it's something which the audience still kind of recognise. I think that's incredibly important for me as a cinematographer, is to keep that kind of that look going, especially when it's when it looks so good. I think it's just a challenge in itself just to make it look as good as it has done in the past. So that was kind of the bigger challenge for me, is kind of keeping that bar incredibly high, which I hope I did.
Yeah, you mentioned the evolution and stuff. I guess for you, like, what did you learn, or how did you want to evolve it into season 4, right? Like, from working on it in season 3, maybe getting your sea legs or whatever with like the style of the show, then going into season 4, like how did you evolve it, I guess?
Well, I think I evolved essentially with the scripts. I think particularly in seasons 4, there is very much that has changed. That there is a journey, and I think that my lighting and my cinematography has kind of changed with those scripts. I mean, no longer is June in Gilead. I hope I'm not giving too much away, but
no,
she does. She does escape. We follow her through her journey from Gilead to Chicago, and then ultimately to Toronto as well. And my lighting evolves that. I mean, I think what had been set up was Gilead had this very distinct look. This very symmetrical, this very formal, very rigid world. And Canada had this kind of much softer, much more, I guess, kind of slightly high contrast look, I suppose it was. And, it's then kind of following that route and following that thread. I think that was very much a part of what I was doing, and we spent a lot of time kind of trying to figure that out, about what is June's route and what my lighting plan is will evolve for the entire, from episode 1 to episode 10. So it's yeah, so it's kind of evolves with the scripts. I think is the best answer. I think.
With the lighting, were there things you were inspired by or anything specific, or is it just like you said, like the scripts? But anything outside of the scripts, I guess. Let's say.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, all sorts really. I mean, I tend not to, as I'm sure many other cinematographers do, but you kind of create a look. You can these are what my kind of references are going to be, but I take them from everywhere. It isn't just like, okay, I'm going to do this. Is going to be, we're going to make it Fincher or whatever. This is going to be, whatever. I take it from wherever. So it could be a music video. One of the references we did on one of the episodes was a music video, a Radiohead music video, and it was just one look. It was one head turn, and we kind of built the scene around that one shot. And in season 3, we there's a shot we did of some grey umbrellas, and then one solitary red umbrella kind of winding its way through this sea of grey umbrellas. And that was inspiration for that was a Getty image. That was just something which I just happened to find when I was doing my prep. So I guess I kind of get inspiration from everywhere, really. It could be just walking down the street. It's not, I don't know, I'm not one of those ones who goes, yes, I get my references from some grand idea, but really in reality is I get my ideas from my inspiration from anything. Anything. I'd be walking down the street and I could be a bit of architecture or anything. It's kind of that simple, I think.
Yeah, you mentioned like also one of the things I really this season, especially like I want to talk about in episode one, you have this incredible scene with Mckenna Grace, and a lot of the stuff you're doing, I think, is capturing these really traumatic things, and like her talking about her experience is so traumatic, but it's like you're really like towing the line between not like exploitation and stuff, and I guess like using the close-ups in that scene specifically. I'm talking about for those watching who don't know, it's in the first episode of this season. She's a character who connects with June, and she ends up talking about how she was basically kind of abused and married at 14, and it's a very traumatic scene. I guess can you talk a little about like I guess the responsibility of capturing stuff like that on the show?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very fine line. I think there have been criticisms that it is too grim, it is too dark, and you have to find that balance. And I think we do that by offsetting it with the beauty of it. And also, I mean, partly also Mckenna. I mean, the performances she gave was just stunning. So half of my job is also just making sure that I can capture that. We are incredibly lucky that we have got incredible cast on this show from everyone, from Mckenna to Lizzie, of course, to Joe, to Anne. And I think as long as I'm able to capture those performances, then I think I'm probably doing a pretty good job. But yeah, it is a fine line. It's very difficult sometimes. Some of the subject matter we don't want to make it. We don't want to make it too grim. There needs to be a light at the end of that tunnel. There needs to be an outcome. There needs to be something which the audience can believe in and and hold on to. And hopefully I can kind of do that with the lighting, as opposed to, this subject matter is incredibly grim, and you do need a little bit of light relief. And I think hopefully we kind of do that, and not just the lighting, but in other ways as well. So it's tricky.
You mentioned Elizabeth Moss. I know she is a director in the season too, for multiple episodes. How did your relationship, I guess, with her work is going from like in season 3, like she's an actor, and then in season 4, you're having to work with her as a filmmaker as well.
I mean, I couldn't believe it when I was told that I was going to be working with Lizzie as a director. I thought, my God, I could be lucky individual I am. But yeah, she is amazing, and I don't say that lightly. Not only because she's our number one, but also because she produces, but she also directed as well. And people are kind of saying that it was her directorial debut, but you wouldn't think so. And I guess that's because she's been around sets for a large part of her life, so she knows how to speak to crew. She knows how to speak to the cast. And the great thing about it, she gets the best out of everyone. She's very good at creating an atmosphere where you can be open and be free. For example, during our prep, it was post-COVID, so we were doing a lot of prep over Zooms, and we would discuss for hours on end, go through, we used to page turn and go through literally paragraph by paragraph and kind of discuss about how we would shoot it. And what she does is she kind of creates an atmosphere where it is open, and we used to come up with ridiculously stupid ideas. We used to laugh at how stupid our days were, but she enabled that. She encouraged that, because as we all know as cinematographers, you just need to have that open forum, and often once you have a bad idea, but from that bad idea sprouts another idea, and then it snowballs. So she was very good at that. She encouraged that kind of that open forum. So genuinely, hand on heart, she's one of the best directors I've ever worked with, and I've worked with a few, and you wouldn't know that this was her debut. She's quite something.
And then, so you mentioned the coronavirus and stuff. I mean, how has the pandemic affected your day-to-day jobs and stuff, like when you're on set, and how have you noticed that, if at all? I mean, I'm sure you have, obviously, but how have you noticed that changing your job at all?
No, I mean, honestly, as a cinematographer, and I'm sure that's the same with these other incredible cinematographers we have here, I don't think it's actually affected me personally that much. We still like the same, we still photograph the same scene, we still put the same amount of effort in. I guess the only thing which has really changed is that certainly on Handmaid's Tales, we were limited to the amount of people we could have on screen at any one time. So we did have to do, I suppose, a little bit of visual effects to put in, either put in more crowd, or we did plates to put in more people deeper or whatever. But in the actual, I think in reality, the actual process was very much the same. And I mean, I had a ball. You know, we have such a great crew in Toronto. I mean, I feel incredibly lucky, and we all did our part. We knew we had to kind of look after ourselves, and we all pulled together. And I think we were one of the first shows to get up and running. And kind of hats off to MGM and Hulu and everyone else involved. That we got up very quickly and we resumed shooting. But yeah, it didn't affect me that much, thankfully.
Stuart Biddlecomb, thank you so much. Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. Stick around. We'll talk to you in a little while for the rest of the roundtable. Thank you.